Here we are at a Home of Joy board where we're going to create our sustainable traditions. And this is your joy adventure. So we've had a rockin' holiday vision. Maybe we've created some stress monsters, and now it's time to get into the sustainable cheer side of it. And just as a reminder, this is your board. You're in full control, so you can dig in as much as you like. And I've given you lots of options to choose from. So you'll start with your tradition, review the traditions you've unpacked, pick one that you feel like you could jingle all the way to Sustainable Town, and one that you could balance joy and stress. Just a note here, so there are a lot of ways to be sustainable in our lives. This exercise, this workshop focuses on the consumer behavior side and our relationship with stuff. This idea of saving humanity is a very daunting endeavor, so we want to make sure we take it at our own pace, and there's a lot of overwhelming information that's presented here. It can feel like too much, but just remember that the magic of this board is you can get into all the stuff you want. You can customize this as you like. You can edit, swap, evolve at your own pace, while also making progress in this global effort to save the planet. So start anywhere, start small, start big, keep going, and don't quit. Wanted to make sure everybody understood there's no scientific calculation here of your impact. The solutions presented are not comprehensive, but you can make choices based on your own life, your own joy, and that is what I call sustainability. Yay! Okay, so we're going to move on down here to the start of the exercise. This is where we make an impact. So we're going to write into the tradition in this first room, copy over activities from the last exercise, ones that we want to reimagine and reconsider as we approach our holiday season. Move through the house and we'll create our simply joyful home. So I'm going to put my tradition here, and the tradition I pick is gift giving, and I'm going to find my activities back over here. Okay, so I'm going to, I'll just pick the least awesome activities. However, you can always pick all the activities or a few activities, however you want to do it, and just come back here and paste them in our board. Okay, don't forget the quick tips in case you get stuck in Miro. You'll have your pink box. Jump back. Okay, and move through to our welcome room. So this is where we're going to center people. I mean, that's why we're doing this. We want to make sure that humanity stays alive, create a better future for future generations. So we're going to focus on people first and find the people and communities that we want to keep top of mind in this season. And just a quick tip, if you think of an intersection of people, so someone who has different identities, and at that intersection, you're going to create bigger impact for a group of people. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to jump down to our people and communities continent. This is the first time showing you this board too. So these two boards connect together. Here's our world of sustainability, and we've got our different continents, people and communities, production, transportation, and life cycle. So we'll run through all of these. Don't forget our shortcuts. So we're going to start here at people and communities and jump in, and we're going to find a community of focus. So these are communities and groups that might be negatively or positively impacted by our decisions. We want to learn who's benefiting and who is vulnerable in the decisions we make. So I'm going to pick an intersectional group here, Black women. Sure. Just go back home. I copied that, and then I'm going to paste it here. Okay. And I'll just make this definitive. Okay. And we'll jump back. We're going to pick a few more. I'm always interested in supporting my own local community, so I'll copy that, jump back, paste. Perfect. And one more. Let's look at people. So people, we want to think about the power and influence they have. What are the power dynamics between these groups and the communities that they touch? How are these communities represented within these groups? So if it's a corporation, how much representation of the communities that they serve are part of that board? So I like to think for gift giving, it probably makes sense to think about the producers and the makers of the stuff that I buy. So I'll go back home, copy that, paste it here. Okay, great. So we have 3 people and communities that I'm going to keep top of mind as I buy gifts. And so opportunities, what kind of opportunities can I create for these people, these groups, and ones that resonate with me, my family, and my friends. So we'll start with opportunities for individuals. So what kind of opportunities do I want to create for the people I've selected? And creativity is really important for me. And let's see, pick one. Fair pay. Okay, so we'll just copy these 2. Go back home. And paste those here. Just move these over. Awesome. We'll find maybe 1 or 2 more. Let's see, opportunities for communities. I like this one. Profits invested in the communities. We'll go back home. Okay. And maybe we pick 1 more. So we're going to find one that creates an opportunity for me, my family, my friends, my own home. This better future for my children is probably my main driver in my life. So I will add that here. Okay, this red dotted line is telling me to go upstairs to the library. Okay, so the library is where we're going to make notes, plop things here that we want to learn more about, stuff that maybe we've heard of and just don't know much about it and want to learn more. And so we'll add some topics here. You can make some notes right now, or you can wait until you go through the rest of the exercise and then come back. Add stuff here as you like. I want to learn about alternatives. One moment, please. Alternatives to plastic. Kind of made plastic my mission, so we'll look at different ways of creating plastic. I want to learn more about like what's plastic made of. Cool. So over here, here's where we can make notes of podcasts, books, websites, apps, anything that we want to use to learn more about it. So you can add a comment here. So I can make a note of like, listen to the Yikes podcast, which is about environmental justice issues. So this can be related to the topics over here, or it can be just something you've heard and want to make note to remind yourself to check out. Other thing you can do is card. I kind of like these. So this is something you can make more notes and add dates and get more detailed. So like I'm going to rent the Beyond Civilization book from the actual library. Okay. So put that here. I can expand this and I can add a date. So I'm going to do that on Monday. And I think I can just add myself. Great, and it should send me a reminder. So that's a handy tool. Okay, so we can come back here after we have gone up to the lounge. And the lounge is where we're going to celebrate all our wins. Hopefully you're already doing stuff that is making a positive impact. So this is where we get to make note of those things and pat ourselves on the back. So I'm going to write down, let's see, I haven't really bought any new plastic toys. I've also committed to buying refurbished electronics. If you need a resource for that, black market is great. Okay, we'll start there. And then we can always add stuff here as we go along. So if there's things that you see in the continents below that you already do, then feel free to just plop them in here and tell yourself good job. Okay, so we're going to move on down to the office. All right, the office is where we get to work. We're going to pick out topics from the continents below and add them. It can be as many as you like, as few as you like. This is where you can just, anything that resonates with you, feels good, you can add them here. As you go along and through this exercise, you can also add stuff to the library or to the lounge upstairs. So we'll start with production. This will take you down to the production continent. Here we learn about the kinds of resources that are used in production. So it could be the raw materials that are needed to create the materials that make the product that you buy. It can be the anything that's used to process those materials. So it'd be water, the land that's used to forest or mine metals, energy that's used to make things, forests, deforestation, hopefully we've all heard about, and then the lost biodiversity that happens when we take down forests. So these are some of the factors that we want to consider as we buy things, and then here are the things that we can do to reduce our negative impact in that way. So the things, let's see, like this handmade one, I'll copy that and go back home. Add that here. So under resources used, I'll put handmade as a way to reduce the resources, the raw resources that are used in processing. Materials, let's see. Jump back here. Okay, product is made of what materials? So this could take some research, is rubber good or bad? Is glass good or bad? I've looked into glass recycling and actually how that's not a very effective way of reusing a material. So there are lots of things that we might assume, and just doing a little bit more research in that way. But here are some really easy ways to improve upon the negative impacts of these resources. So let's see, I really like reclaimed materials. Go back home and add that to my board. Add that under materials, and this can go under a couple different spots, but we'll just make note here. Okay, and if you follow the red line, it shows you where to go next. So what waste or byproduct is created in the processing or production of the products we buy? So it could be the scraps that's wasted, particulates in the air or water, chemicals used, the packaging to ship or to package the product. So here we have a lot of ways to improve. I don't know, I like this idea of the creative use of scraps. Okay, add that here. And actually, you know what? I do know there are things that I have learned along the way, and I can make myself a note. So like Lilla Barn Clothing is a company that uses the scraps during production. So if you want to make a note for yourself here, look into it, check it out, see if it's something you want to try or buy. These are all things that you can do for yourself. Okay, climate justice. So let's see, jump over to the production continent. Okay, so climate justice should be really central to all the decisions we make. It's something that I've focused more attention to in my decisions. So a lot of the climate crisis issues that we're facing are impacting these really vulnerable communities. So typically it's low income, Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And so just keeping in mind that these groups are more at a disadvantage. And so just really being conscientious that these groups should be central to why we do this. So all of these kind of factors to consider or overlap a lot with what we've already talked about, but these groups in particular are more disproportionately impacted. So I'm going to look into clean waterways, and actually I'll add this one, preserve natural lands. I'll put both of these up here. So let's find my home stick. Here we go. Okay. Okay, I'll add 2 under here. Again, you can just add as many as you like, and then we'll narrow it down later and pick the ones that feel the most appropriate for our tradition. So here we have our life cycle topics. So this is all about the circular economy. If you don't know about circular economy, let's add that to our library. What is the circular economy? And why does it matter? Okay, so just make a note for ourselves to look that up. We want to extend the life cycle of products, and so there are lots of different ways to do that, so let's learn. Some questions we can ask ourselves to help us create more joy and extend the life of a product. So things to ask ourselves as we're making these decisions: how long will it be used? Is it actually needed? Can I rent this? Do I have to own it? How many people can enjoy this? So, single-use plastic is one of the worst things. And so, how do we reduce the single-use plastic that we buy? So, gift giving feels pretty appropriate. So I'll copy this, bring it back over here. Questions to ask myself: is this something someone actually needs or wants before I buy it? So ways to extend the life of a product: you can repair it, refurbish it, borrow it. There's creative reuse of things, hand-me-downs. So let's see, I'm going to really like the creative use concept, creative reuse. Add that here. And what am I willing to invest? We'll jump back over to life cycle. So one more here. Things that you're willing to invest. It could be time, money, emotions, and other ways to just make a bigger impact in committing to certain things. So I think this idea of discomfort is really interesting to me. It's something that I've been learning a lot about myself and pushing through the discomfort of change. That's a big idea, but something I'm willing to work on. Actually, side note here, that when I think about this discomfort, I think back on my expectations stress monster and something that I've had to work through personally, in this idea of gifts and what makes a gift, and do people expect things to be new when you buy them something? And so I've started actually gifting thrift store reused goods and sort of helping myself get over that hurdle of expecting new as a gift, and then hopefully that gives other people the opportunity to start giving used goods as well, and just shifting our culture in that way. So transportation is where we think about the miles a product has to travel, and so the hope is we try and reduce the number of miles that something has to get from point A to point B, from start to you. So it could be the miles traveled from, digging up the raw materials, mining, foresting, all the raw resources, and how far it has to get from there to processing, so the actual manufacturing of the product. So if you have something that's made in the USA, ideally it's stuff that's also, the raw materials are ethically sourced and haven't traveled from China. So you could commit to buying in the USA. How many miles are traveled from processing, all the distance can be sometimes where it travels a little furthest distance, travel from processing to sale. So the stores, online shops, so if it's made in my region, so I'm in the Midwest, so if I could commit to just buying from things that are made in the Midwest, and that would reduce the number of miles traveled, and then miles traveled from the sale to me. And so if I commit to buying something that's made in my town or my city, I've drastically reduced the number of miles that it's traveled. And finally, the miles it travels from me to its next or final destination. So this is the full life cycle as far as the transportation of the product. If I'm lending stuff to my neighbors and it's being reused over and over again, then I've reduced the number of miles it travels for its next destination. So that's something to consider too. Jump back here. Also want to make a note that, making it yourself can drastically reduce the number of miles traveled. So if that feels like something you are interested in doing or already do, pat yourself on the back, and you can put this in the lounge. I'm going to put this in the lounge because I make a lot of stuff for myself. Find my home signpost. Drop that in here. Yeah, okay. Oh, go back to office. Okay, talked a lot about this. Pick something. I'm going to commit to buying from stuff that's made in the USA. Go back home. Put that under here. Great. Okay, shortcuts, because life is short. I've made a kind of a cheat sheet for everybody. This is our shortcut boat. Time is precious, so are people and planet. So if you feel like you just want to add some stuff and move on, that's totally fine. So here are some really simple things, maybe not so simple, but easy things that you can just add to your list and consider. And so let's see. You know what? I've actually canceled my Amazon, so I'm gonna add that to my lounge. And then I am, let's see, going to buy fair trade. Did I already pick that? Let's find out. Okay, I'm gonna start in my lounge and add that. Canceled my Amazon, congratulations. Then I'm gonna move my fair trade over here to a shortcut. Make it easy on myself. So I'll just look for fair trade gifts. Okay, and jump down to the rec room.